I fired a client earlier this year, and Melanie, that was my first experience, like truly firing a client. Like I'm not dealing with this. Yeah, I was kind of nervous when I did it because I did it in person.
It's liberating after, but it's so hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. I don't think I can say that I've done it successfully like you have yet. The way we get rid of our clients is we just raise the price high enough until they finally leave.
Keep doing that, yeah.
We do it very passively. We do it very passively.
I think that's the way you need to do it. I agree with that 100%.
Well, no. The right way to do it is your way, because then you just cut it off.
May I have your attention, please?
Live Flow.
Ooh.
So we're going to do more stuff with Live Flow,
Flow's
Nicole.
back.
We're going to continue this train of Live Flow. Anita's awesome. I love her. And we're going to have Terrell come on to do things with Live Flow.
So I'm curious, when you're talking to accountants, I mean, of course, just like any product, I mean, because all accounting firm owners run through this ourselves. Like, we may have a conversation with a prospective client, explain what we do, how we solve, we'll talk through pricing. So when you're having that conversation with your prospective clients, what are some of the hesitations that people have before they say, yeah, I'll move forward, or before they actually sign up?
Good question. So there's a bunch. What I learned, accountants wouldn't really jump into the cold water without knowing that their clients will like it first. So they would need some time to present it and see that it actually works, and they can commit to scaling it. Potential customers would be like, look, I really need to test it. I really need to make sure. So we have a free trial right now. You can do it. But you also need to see how it just chimes into the flows that you have already built, and like whether it replaces any other tools. Accountants also calculate numbers really well. So in terms of costs, you need to prioritize with which tools you use and whether you can use it for something else. And then once you're clear, you can scale, but it takes time.
The flows that you already use, I just love it. I mean, you guys nailed it with the name and the branding. I mean, it's just so easy. It just flows off the tongue, right? But it's a play on workflows and live data, right? Is that?
Yes. What I have to say, I don't know how it happens, but accountants are very grateful. What I mean here, like if you do something that makes sense, you will receive a ton of feedback. Rest assured, you will receive negative too if you're doing something wrong.
Sure.
So there's no way to escape that. And that's also helpful because you can improve your product. But I've never seen positive feedback before with caps lock and 5 exclamation marks. It means you're doing something right, and that's really amazing. That what wakes me up in the morning every single day. Like, I know that what I'm doing makes sense.
May I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Accounting High. It's freshman year at a brand new school. Here, we have no rules in place as we're on a mission to set our own traditions. So hang tight and learn with us as we grow. At Accounting High, you can expect to gain knowledge in a completely different way than what you may be used to, with some fun and oftentimes colorful conversations. Whether you loved high school or you hated it, here's your chance to be a part of an unforgettable experience redone. While you're here, don't forget to follow us on Spotify or subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may be listening to us right now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. And feel free to leave us a 5-star review letting us know how the school year is treating you. In addition, share this episode on social media, tagging us at Accounting High. So sit back, relax, and open your mind because class is in session.
I repeat, may I have your attention, please?
This is another public service announcement brought to you in part
by Accounting High.
The views and events expressed here are
of the next generation of accounting and tech professionals leading this space.
The events and suggestions are not to be taken lightly. Children should not partake in the listening
of this podcast.
Anything else?
Yeah.
So without further ado, introducing the star of our show,
Alexander the Garrett and Scott Scarano. That's what I'm going to call you now, Alexander the Garrett.
I like it.
Garrett Alexander. So, Game On Financial and Orsini. How do you pronounce the other
Orsini and Associates. Yeah, that's it. And just so you know,
that was close.
I got the Game On Financial, so we gave my partner Melanie Orsini the name, And instead of picking Orsini and Alexander, she picked Orsini and Associates. So
Okay. Okay. Well, still O and A.
I'm the associate, but yeah.
All right. That's all right. Associate the Garrett then. I'll call
There you go.
So it's game on. It's classes in session. We're going to kick this off and just dive right in because honestly, like I've been looking forward to this one. I like your style. You're in the South, kind of like me, kind of the South. You're a little bit below me, Savannah. And yeah, that accent of yours, our listeners are going to get to hear that for a while now, and it's buttery, it's lucid, it's a little bit of molasses in there, but a bit of a twang too. Like I dig it. Tell me where you're from for real. Tell our audience where you're from.
I'm from Reedsville, Georgia. I know you've never heard of it. It's literally like an hour west of Savannah. It's everything, like everything you hear in my accent, it's probably about everything you would expect from Reedsville, Georgia. It's like
Reedsville.
Right. I don't know, like 2,000, population 2,000, something like that. I mean, very small. One red light. They got a McDonald's. That was a big deal. They got a McDonald's after I left and went off to college. So that's kind of where I grew up. A lot of farmland. I mean, all of it. So.
Well, tell me about growing up. You know, just the start as early as you want, and then that'll kind of start the story here.
Yeah. So I went to school it was Tattnall County High School. 2A, very small school because very small town, a very large county in Georgia, actually, a lot of farmland, like I said, but not just the population was just not there. And so, yeah, I mean, everything you can expect from a small town.
Small town country boy.
Yeah. Growing up, didn't have like a ton of money, but never necessarily like needed anything or anything like that. Played football. I played all the sports, but football was my favorite growing up. And
what position?
Oh, quarterback. Absolutely.
Okay.
Actually, I moved to wide receiver. I wasn't very good at quarterback, and so I moved to wide receiver. I wasn't ultimately very good at that either, but I loved I loved playing. And so
Did you play both sides? Did you play Iron Man where you play defense too, or just offense?
We did, yeah. So I played like safety, DB on defense, but I didn't. I mean, I didn't see the field hardly any on defense at all, and so. Technically, yeah, that was what they listed me as, but I never saw the field. So, but yeah, I mean, growing up, like I said, there were from high school back. Looking back at it, there was really not much there. I'll say I didn't find myself until college. I really didn't find myself until I started my career, but college was really where it kicked off. I went to Georgia Southern in Statesboro, Georgia, so not far from home. I got degrees in accounting and finance, bachelor's degrees, and then I got a master's degree in accounting. And I started my career at a larger regional firm. I call it regional. I mean, they only had 3 offices in Georgia, but they worked across the country on all kinds of stuff. Big audit practice, but they had a large tax practice too, a decent sized one. Saw a lot there. I was there for 5 years and then went out on my own. And that's literally the history. Like in college, I didn't do anything other than I did referee. I was an official. So that's probably something a lot of people don't know about me. I was actually an All-American flag football official, if you can believe that's a thing. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Sounds safer. I know football these days, is getting a bad rep because it's not safe.
It's not.
So flag football seems to be, unless you go head on against another head, it's going to be a lot safer.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, still some injuries here and there. I mean, pulling flags, if people have pockets on, I've seen some gnarly broken fingers, and, you have head-on collisions a lot too, but it's way safer than the alternative. So,
yeah, but bones mend, heads don't. Yeah. Like inside the brain, you mess that up, you're done for life, like in a lot of ways. But so let's go back to the accounting part. Mm-hmm. Like you got a lot of degrees in accounting. You stuck with that. Like you seem to have known that's what you wanted to do. Why and how?
Yeah. So I actually, when I first got to school, I met my now wife, Macy. She was like incredible, and she was living with a roommate, or her roommate was like a childhood friend of mine, just by coincidence. I mean, they just random pairing of roommates in dorm rooms. And so I got to know Macy, and I asked Macy what she was going to major in. I had no idea. She said accounting. I was like, all right, perfect. So I'm going to do that too, because she was, very attractive and just had a great personality. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to say like I knew right then she was the one, because I didn't, but that's kind of how we got our start.
I'll say I agree with you. She is very attractive. You share a lot of pictures of her.
Thank you.
You have a very attractive wife. Shout out to Macy.
Shout out Macy.
I don't know if she's around. She could hop on too. But
So she's actually an accountant too. So like, well, by trade, she's an accountant. She doesn't do it anymore. She stays home with her daughter now, and she runs another business. But
very cute daughter too. What's your daughter's name?
Shout
again?
out Sutton. Yeah.
Sutton, yeah. Shout out Sutton, yeah. I should know that too, because I always see the videos of Sutton. I remember one of the first ones I saw was like in the bathtub. That laugh was infectious.
Oh man,
like that was it. You got a beautiful family.
Yeah, thank you.
So
we've been blessed, but yeah, that was how I started. Right with the accounting was Macy said I'm going to be an accountant. I said okay, I'm going to do that too. That was it. There was nothing. It wasn't like a pre-planned thing. It was off the cuff, and then naturally we had classes together and all that. So that's when our relationship took off. And then just through classes and everything, I actually started, I had an internship first and I went into tax. She came to work at the same firm, but they wouldn't let her to be in tax because I was in tax. So she went into audit, and we were both there for a while. Like I said, 5 years approximately for both of us. And then we had our daughter. And so she started to stay at home. She came to work with us at Game On Financial and Orsini and Associates. She worked with us for a little bit, but then, we realized it was too much with a daughter. It's a ton of work. I mean, I know you know. So, yeah, she stays home with her, and I've just kept absolutely grinding Game On Financial, and then Orsini and Associates too. So,
yeah. So it's kind of rare to have two accountants in the family. I mean, I would say it's kind of rare because I don't think I remember of any other guests I've had where both spouse are both accountants. I mean, but it also, like, it just seems a little odd that they wouldn't even let you both work in tax. Was that like a company corporate policy? Like what?
So yeah, it was. But the irony in that was like there was a married couple in the firm named partners, and they were pretty much in the same department for a time there. So it was like
maybe they didn't come into it married. Maybe they got married after, and it was too late.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Maybe
because y'all came into it in a relationship.
We
right?
did, yeah. And they told us from the get go, like we're not allowing that. I think they had been burned on it in the past, like because if we weren't married at the time, so like a breakup becomes nasty, and then all of a sudden you've got like this toxic workplace culture. So I somewhat get it, but at the same time, I mean,
yeah, we're adults.
Yeah,
like I don't agree with stuff like that because I feel like you should be able to work with people that you're with, and everybody should be mature adults too. But I guess that's just a different generational mindset that's kind of shifting because I see this working all the time with anybody in any field.
Yeah.
Spouses working together.
I think it's how you treat people. Because I mean, I understand the idea of coming out of college, still very much kids. And so anything could happen. But I also believe like when you have these young adults coming out of college, and I mean, we're talking like 22, 23. So they're getting into solid adulthood at that time. I will say, I feel like looking back, I didn't know then what I know now. And so I feel like I was a child then, but I think it's how you treat people, right? If you treat them like adults from the beginning and kind of put that out there, then they're more likely to act that way. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the
You're
key.
You're damn right. Like I've gotten fired from a lot of jobs, and it's usually because I always do what I'm not allowed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put up more rules and more blockades, more things, more fences for me to hop over, I'm going to hop over them, and that usually gets me in trouble. I mean, I'm just talking about me now.
Right.
That gets me in trouble. But if you treat me like an adult, then usually I'll respect some of the rules too. But it's this is something like how you treat people. It comes back around. It always comes back around. So you're a partner, you're an associate at a firm now, right?
Right.
That needs to change. We should put Alexander on there. I'm going to refer to this as O&A, right? So you're what, 27, 28?
29 now. Yeah. I'm older. I'm getting old,
29.
man.
Getting to that 30 mark. That's life changes. You might get a couple gray hairs in
Fast
there.
approaching.
Won't be able to see it though. Your gray hairs will just mix.
Yeah,
in.
I think my beard is slowly, like I've got a few white hairs, but I don't attribute that to work. It's actually, I think my daughter. It's more stressful now.
All right.
But
is it?
Yeah. But as far as the Orsini and Associates thing and put my name on it, just to hit on that, I don't I almost don't want it there. And that's kind of been a learning thing for me is like, I mentioned it, that was kind of Melanie's thing and Game On Financial is mine. We're both 50-50 partners in all of it at the end of the day. And so we're not concerned with that. And I think that does make us a little bit different because we've agreed, like, at the end of the day, we're splitting this. Like, what may, we're splitting it. But with Orsini and Associates, Melanie works with a lot of real estate professionals and everything. And she's, like, dialed into that aspect of it. And so that, especially with a more local Savannah, Georgia brand, that's good. We never have to worry about changing the name, right? Unless Melanie leaves. It can stay Orsini and Associates. We don't have to go with these stupid initials and all this stuff that you see bigger firms do as they acquire more and more. We never wanted to do that. And Melanie can do her own thing. And I'm not, it's not that I'm not a part of it, but I don't have to like be so integrated with it. The branding is not me, right? And so I appreciate the fact.
You don't got to sell me on it. I love that you've got Game On Financial because that's a brand. You're building a brand and you're building a company beyond you,
right?
And something that could kind of live on without you too. You know, you can grow a company, and that's something new and that's different in our world because our world has always traditionally been marred by you have to have your name on it because you're a professionally licensed. You know, in North Carolina, you have to have your name has to be on if you're a CPA,
right?
At least, you know, I'm not being a CPA. I don't have to abide by those rules, right? And I think people are finding their ways around that and restructuring their companies so they can build companies, not, you know, whatever you want to call it, but you're on the right track here.
Yeah.
So
it's so much more than just the tax and all that. That's naturally what people come to us for. But with Game On Financial, we almost just by default, not because of the name, but because of how we carry it and how we run it, it is so much more. These content creators that we work with need way more than just the tax. And we make that very apparent when we first talk with them because a lot of them are coming in very green. They don't know anything about any of it, right? They're not an established business that they've maybe cycled through a couple of CPA firms or whatever, you know, tax firms. That's generally not the case with what we're seeing. So yeah, we have the opportunity is ridiculous. We love it. We love being in the space, and I think that shows. I think that is genuine. A lot of the people we're talking to are people we would aspire to play with on these games and all that stuff anyway. So we get to have a lot of fun, and it is more than me with Game On Financial.
Fun.
Yeah, we have fun.
Yeah,
we love it.
It's fun. When you think of a game, it's fun. Like everything about it is fun, and I'm trying to bring the fun back and everything. That's why I was excited to have you on because it seems like you're always having fun doing whatever you're doing.
Oh, we just do whatever,
it doesn't
man.
seem like yeah. I mean, you got a lot of M's in your life here. You got, you know, your wife Macy, and you got your work wife Melanie, right? So
that's right.
But you know, let's go back to. You're going to have a lot of M's too. If you keep going in this direction, you're going to have a lot of other M's, you know, the big M's that matter, the millions,
Yep,
right?
That's right.
So what was some of the things at that firm that made you leave or made you want to leave? Like what was it there that you said, I need to go out and do my own thing?
Looking back, there are more and more things the longer we do this because we knew this in the beginning, Melanie and I, and we agreed on this, and we knew why we were going out on our own because we wanted to be different. And what does that mean? It's different for everybody because everybody gets, I'm going to say burned. I didn't necessarily get burned, but you get burned in a little bit of a different way for everybody. And so like one thing people always want is work-life balance. Well, like what does that mean? What does that look like? Nobody can put a thumb on it really. The firm I was at was trying to do that, and that, you know, kudos to them for that. But it was silly because they tested, for example, unlimited PTO on one group. And it was an audit group that traveled all the time. And it was a group that had some bad players in it. And so some people abused it and they took PTO like all the time and booked off their calendar. And then some people, they were so busy working, oftentimes making up for the work of those people who were bad players. And they basically never got to take PTO at all. And then the firm as a whole looked at it and said, hey, this didn't work out. We're not rolling it out for anybody else. When, you know, the tax team never got to experience it, it would make perfect sense for us because, you know, oftentimes, especially, you know, somebody like me,
outside of tax season.
Yeah, outside of tax season, I mean, during June, for example, maybe you don't have a lot going on, just take a long vacation, a couple weeks here, do something. And I never got to do that. And I don't even know that I would have, just because I worked a lot then, and I was trying to move up the ranks, right? I was the good, the goody two shoes employee, I guess. And so I felt like that was dumb. I thought it was silly that management looked at that and thought that was an adequate reading. Like, hey, we looked at this one sample size. Especially, I mean, it's really bad when you think that auditors were making these decisions too. You'd think they'd know how sample size and all that works, but yeah, they just silly policies like that. And they had gotten too big and bloated as a firm that they could not pivot and do things that, Melanie and I can on a dime. We have 2 employees, and I think we have 2 contractors now. We had 3, and we can make changes quick. And so, for example, for this hurricane, we had Joseph, who's he's a manager level member of our team, and he's in all the management decisions. We talk to him too, just because we value his expertise and everything. And he came from this other firm as well. We'll talk to him. He left because we have this hurricane coming in. He left and drove kind of towards middle Georgia, so it didn't hit him as hard. We didn't think twice about it. He was taking his computer. It wasn't even a big deal. He was like, hey, I think I'm going to leave this morning, my wife and I. He packed up his wife, his 2 dogs, they left. And to think, had we done that at the other firm, we would have had to sign all kinds of paperwork and go through this big process. It would have been annoying. He just picked up and left. He was like, hey, I'm taking my laptop. I'm going to try and work this day, and this day. And we're, 15 days from a major deadline. So, and we didn't think twice, because ultimately it doesn't matter. If let's say the work didn't get done by October 15th, was it him leaving this weekend, even though he's still working? Was it him leaving that caused that? No. We failed 6 months ago when some of these clients should have been getting done, and we, for some reason, didn't get them done. It was something internal with the firm. It wasn't him. And the other firm never did that. Ever. It was always blaming the staff for things that management could have controlled earlier on, but they tolerated bad employees, right? They ran studies and came up with evidence that was clearly inconclusive to what they were trying to accomplish. It did not represent a good sample size. And they just, like I said, they had gotten bloated and they couldn't make changes.
Well, that's a good point that you made. When you tolerate bad employees, policies and systems and everything else changes in the entire firm, because you're making it for 1 or 2 people. I did this when I tolerated bad employees. I would have rules in place because I knew that one person, they needed it. And it didn't matter to anybody else. Everybody else was responsible. You can treat them like adults. But if you have 1 or 2 bad apples and you tolerate that, then it changes everything for everybody. And you feel like you're being treated like a child from the day one. That sounds like that's a recurring theme there. A lot of friction. And I told you I'd bring the spicy takes today. I've been waiting to get on this podcast because I don't have to hold back. I think, and everybody can take this. Well, you're goody two shoes, so you could let it all out. I don't think it'll be that intense.
I was, and you should have Melanie on the podcast to let her tell you, because at the firm, the higher ups, they loved me because I bought in, right? And I'm not trying to be arrogant saying I was the best. No, I bought into what they were selling. You
were green, but your nose was a little brown.
Yeah, well, no, I just worked a lot. That was all I had to do, right?
Okay, no, I get it.
Yeah, I just worked a lot. It wasn't that I was kissing up to people or anything like that. No, I just worked all the time, which is what they wanted. So you could look at it from that standpoint and say you gave them that. But now looking back, it was so valuable to me. I would tell anybody, here, it's coming out of college, you want to run your own practice. You need to go somewhere. I would say somewhere big, so you're exposed to a lot. Work for at least, I'm going to say 5 years. I feel like I was I was not quite ready. I wasn't quite where I needed to be when I went out on my own, but I didn't have that was the opportunity, and so I just took it.
Yeah.
I would say at least 5 years, and then go out on your own. And, you will make a ton of money. You will get to do what you want to do and all that. You know enough. You probably know more than you think you do, and you can make it. Especially if you have a partner. I had Melanie was my mentor at the previous firm. So when Melanie went to buy this firm here in Savannah, she realized it was too much work, asked me to come on. She asked me as an employee, and I said, Melanie, I'm going to be real with you, business person to business person, it doesn't make sense for me to leave this salary to get the salary for you when that could theoretically fail or something could go wrong, right? Because I'm set here. I'm going to be a partner at this other firm. eventually, like not anytime soon, but eventually. And so why should I leave? I want to own it. And she agreed. She said, okay. And I think that's a testament to like, she knew I was willing to put in the work and to make this thing happen. But I think looking back then, I put up with a lot of stuff that I just should not have put up with, because I was like, I just had my mind on the work. I was just working. And so,
well, you accept things for how they're given to you, and it doesn't sound like you were questioning anything then. You're realizing it now that you're on the other side of it. But when you're in that situation, in that reality, a lot of people, most people don't question what they're told, and they do what they're told because they feel like the rules and the systems are in place for a reason, and there isn't a better way. I think that's always been what I used to see as a challenge for me, that I always challenged rules and questioned the way of doing things, and that doesn't really work when you're working for somebody else, because you're supposed to be following the rules. So I feel like you were a good employee at the time too.
I think some of your best leaders are actually younger. We blindly trust partners that have been there for 40 years. And I have questioned this. This has caused me to question everything, because I think back to what I was told a lot of times by people, and more so how, like, tolerating a bad employee, also tolerating a bad client. And I look back at some of the partners and this is the spice take. I think weakness. I don't think like, they were doing their job, just accepting it. Sometimes you got to take a lick, right? Like when a client comes back and they're mad and they yell at you, you just got to take it. And I say, F all that. And I'm not taking it. I don't have to.
Fuck all that.
I would never like tolerate anybody talking. We have a younger staff. She's fresh out of college. Her name's Dhruva Patel. She is incredible. She is incredibly hardworking. And I tell her this all the time, like, you work way harder than I did when I was that age. And I respect that. I respect her. And if somebody were to talk to her the way some clients talked to me when I was that age and stuff like that, now it was valuable to me, because now I look back and I realize, like, I don't have to tolerate that. But I would never tolerate somebody talking to her, right? But partners just let people talk to me that way. And I look back and I'm like, that was the moment right there. And you asked earlier, what made you leave and all that, what burned you? It was that. Right? You look at the partners and they're supposed to protect you, right? And upper level is supposed to protect you when you're that young, especially, I'm going to say, if you were like me and you were just working nonstop. I wasn't bothering anybody. I just showed up. I did my job. And like you said, I didn't question anything. I just did it. I just worked. And I look back, like, I wish I could find somebody for our firm that would just work like that, like just go crazy,
Yeah, you're the employee that I would want. Like, I would love that, because then it's not always a challenge. Like I would hate to hire me. I would not work for myself. I would be I'm a terrible employee, because even when I'm not supposed to be questioning stuff, I do. Even when I'm supposed to just put my nose down and get to work. So that's like, you could recognize that in other people too, but it's the toleration of bad that brings everybody else down. It's like, it brings the average down too. So when you have a few bad clients and bad apples and bad employees, everything's bad.
Yeah, and we've promised our staff. We've told Joseph has express authority. Dhruva doesn't necessarily, not because we don't trust her, but because, like, she's new and just the whole process. Like, there's still a lot to getting rid of a client that she just doesn't know yet. She hasn't been in the game, but we do know.
Well, and she, like, I can relate to that too, because there's a lot of employees that don't even want to speak up, or people that don't want to speak up and say something's bad because they don't even think it's bad.
Right.
They just think that's their nature, and they're accepting of all types of people. And so it's not even in their wheelhouse to disseminate, or like, what's good and what's a bad employee, or what's a good, engagement, what's a good client and a bad one. So that's where the leader comes in. That's where, you have to, I guess, use your insights. And this is a tough position that we're in, running a firm. Managing people is hard.
It is. It is very difficult, because a biggest fear is now I'm responsible for payroll, and I have to, like, at the end of the day, it's all on me. And I thought, like, okay, signing tax returns would be scary, because I'm only, at the time when we started this, I was 27. I mean, we've been in a transition for a minute. I'm 29. We went into full ownership 1/1 of this year. So whatever the age, I in my eyes, I was still too young to be signing tax returns. And anybody listening to this podcast may say, well, you were. And that's fair. I mean, that's okay. That doesn't hurt my
I
feelings.
wouldn't say that. I'll let anybody sign a tax return.
But signing tax returns is one thing. I thought that would be the biggest, scariest thing.
You had your license at that point, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've had my license for a while now, but I've never had to. And so that's a responsibility. And you think like, oh man, I got to do all these things. No, it's literally making payroll. Not that we've really ever been in question or doubted that we would make it, but like now we have Joseph and Druva who depend on us and their families depend on us to make sure we run payroll. I have missed payroll before and ran it the next week. We use Gusto, shout out Gusto. I just didn't run it, and I ran it they got paid, not on Friday, but on the following Monday, and I felt that was worse than like losing any client. I felt like I had let everybody down, and that comes from youth, inexperience, and I don't like that it happened to them, but it's like it had to happen for me to realize like, hey, like, you know, people are depending on you. Like you don't get to do that anymore. You can't. There is no like you don't run payroll, right? It's incredibly embarrassing. And it's also like I let them down and they were fine with it. They were like, no, that's cool, whatever. But to me,
heavy is the head.
Heavy is the head.
Heavy is the head that wears the Nike cap.
Or whatever brand you've got on, but
whatever brand. Yeah. I don't even know what brand this is. So, but you've had a lot of big life changes recently. You just bought a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just bought a house. You have a new family. You have employees. You've been tossed into this. I got to get some water. You've been tossed into this responsibility thing and this whole like managing people, but being responsible for people too. Not just managing, but now you're responsible for several livelihoods. That's got to be the biggest stressor, I think, of all then. Like clients, you can get a new client here and there. Clients are a dime a dozen. I think that's the mindset that a lot of firm owners have, at least the smaller ones and the ones that remain, is everything is just about the client. We always hear this growing up, the customer is always right. The number one, like customer's number one and everything else falls after that.
Piss on that. I hate that.
Piss on
yeah.
it.
I know. I'm telling you, man, hot takes. I've got them. Cause I feel while you get your water, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I feel adamantly about it. Like very adamant. It is a sign of weakness to me, and it's hard for me. So if you put up with it, you mentioned tolerating bad employees. If I'm a partner, for example, like how would Melanie look at me if, we have a bad employee and I'm responsible for that person and I just let it fester, right? And I just let it sit there. How would Druva, a brand new staff, look at me and say like, going back to me saying earlier, it's a partner's job to protect the younger staff. Like they're trying to learn and grow. They're not doing any wrong. They just don't know. They're green. You've got to, like, part of leading is like protecting them from bad employees, right? If it's slowing them down, I think it's weakness at the partner level. And I think you could trace everything back to me. And like you said, that's part of responsibility. That's my biggest fear. I don't worry about clients. Like you said, I'm not worried about that at all. We have no problem bringing on clients. I think we're true. We're genuine. I don't think our prices are outrageous. If anything, they should always be higher.
Always.
Yeah. And so we're doing, and we do good work. That's the thing, is like, it's not work product's not the issue, but it will become the issue if we let things like, little things, bad employee, bad clients, stuff like that. If we tolerate it, it will go downhill. And I think that's the problem with most big firms, because they get bloated and it's like, okay, well, we just got to because they keep, especially now, they just keep buying firms left and right. I think that's the problem. I think it's a major problem.
And so why do you think that's happening? Why are they acquiring? Why are they getting bigger? And I don't know if I have an answer to this. I'm actually just kind of, going to talk about that. Like, why?
It's glorified.
Why grow for the sake of growing?
Growth for the sake of growth is glorified. It makes no sense. Even if like you have a piece of pie and you can make the pie bigger so all the partners at the top are eating, it at some point it becomes the same way with clients. Like you have some clients that are better than others, and we don't just take on clients constantly, just take them on. Because, I want to work with who I want to work with. I can make a large sum of money doing that. If I'm not making a large sum of money working with the people I want to work with, then I'm doing it wrong, right? But for larger firms, it's, hey, we have the extra cash, we can do it. Let's just acquire this little tiny mom and pop practice that's going out. And they just keep doing it. That because I'm going to say it's easy, it's free money, because it is for them. They're not doing the work. They can just assign staff to do it. But I cannot find another Joseph or Druva. I tweeted about it the other day, like we're looking for an admin assistant. It was more of a joke. We are looking for an admin assistant, but like I'm not going to Twitter looking for an admin assistant. I was just tweeting it out, and I got great recommendations. But I think about it, like you mentioned hiring me and stuff like that. Like there's not that many good accountants out there waiting to be hired.
Tell me about it. Tell me.
You know what I'm saying? Not to be rude. It's just there's not. Like I can't find another Joseph. I trust him with. I would trust Joseph with my wife and daughter should something happen to me. I mean, that's how much I trust him. I can't find that like anywhere else, and I know that has to be developed over time. But Druva, I feel like we got lucky with her. You know, and she's incredible.
Well, I think also, you're seeing a reflection of your management style, your leadership style. I'm already seeing it in the way that you talk about everything. You know, that's a rare skill set that you probably have that maybe you don't give yourself credit for, is you could bring out the best in people if you treat them, like you get what you give, right? You get back what you put in.
Right.
And if you're putting in and you care about the right things and your mind is set on the right things, you're not out here grinding an axe or trying to grow something or trying to, do something for yourself. You're out here trying to do things for the people that you're now like responsible for.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
I'm 29 and I've seen it. We've got almost a first full year. We're going to make plenty of money. That's not the question. I want all of my staff to make a lot of money too. I feel very strongly about that. As far as increasing wages, I don't care what the rest of the world does about it. I want because well, you do care what the rest of the world does, because then it gives you inspiration and it gives you tips for the people that are doing it right. Sure, but like if you told me right now, like if I had the excess cash and I could give Joseph or Druva $100,000 right now, I would do it. Like I would love to do it. And Melanie and I have talked about it.
But you got to make some money too for yourself.
We do, but at the same time, if you said, Garrett, you can make $100,000 right now, or you can make 70 and hire a virtual assistant to just save you some time to spend with your family, I'd do that all day. I don't need the money. And this is going to sound super privileged, but any money that we make in excess, I would put it back into the business. I would do things like that because that is my life outside of, my wife and my daughter. I genuinely have fun with what I'm doing. And so I don't have to go, I don't have to have all the cars and everything like that. And that's easy to say when, we're in the position we're in. But if it means we can hire more people and save my time on doing certain things so I can have more calls. I got to talk with, this week alone, an NFL quarterback and a professional Call of Duty player. And that's what I want to be doing. I don't want to be preparing tax returns, right? I'd rather be talking to these people. So if you told me I could hire more staff instead of, doing a lot of this grunt work, I'm doing it. And if it costs me a little extra money, fine. And I know that's what every business owner has to make, the decision that they have to make. But
it's freedom over cash.
Yeah, and it seems so evident now. It didn't seem that way when I was younger, when I was at a bigger firm.
Maybe it didn't seem that way pre-COVID too.
No,
I think COVID actually let a lot of people find their purpose and find themselves in a way. Like you said, you found yourself a bit after college. You're probably finding yourself a little bit more every day that you do this.
Every time. Yeah, I will agree. I would agree with that 100%. And that's a lot of fun to me to think about, because I feel like I was kind of mature from like when I started working and everything like that. Like I kept my head down and I felt like the maturity level was there. And
Alexander the Garrett, wise beyond his years.
I don't know about that, but it was fun because I learned a lot. And then I went and I'm like, hey, I know enough to run my own firm, right? And then I start learning what it means to do that. And I'm 29. It's not like life is so much more fun now than it was then. And what is that? That's good news, right? Because if I could be mid-30s and saying the same thing, then, I'm in better physical shape than I've ever been. I'm running a firm. I have more fun doing that, working in accounting, if you can even have fun working in accounting, right? We have fun. And Joseph has told me 100 times he loves it. Like this is his dream job because he gets to work with content creators and do the things that he would have wanted to do anyway. We're having fun. And I'm almost 30, right? When I was 20, I looked at a 30-year-old. I was like, oh, God, man, that's going to be terrible.
I don't know. I see so I'm 39 and
Young.
I know some 49ers, right? And the 49ers I know, well, at least the ones that I look up to, they're youthful. And like I'm seeing paths to getting there. It's like I think everybody doing this needs somebody to look up to, somebody as a mentor, like that's that's where you want to be in 5-10 years, and then also somebody that you can help that's 5-10 years behind you, that you can mentor, that you could, because we're all on this escalator of firm ownership of life, and we're all just traveling at different time periods, you know, and then also have that sparring partner, somebody that's about the same as you that you can compete with too, or like in a great way.
Absolutely.
There's two words that I've highlighted that I want to bring up too, and that's you're a competitor, but also a collaborator. That's the way I see you, right? And those can coexist.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be competition because I want to beat everybody and I don't, you know, I want to be the best. And it's not collaborating to the sense that you're giving everything away and you don't keep anything for yourself. I think there's a healthy balance of both.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like the kid. So on Tax Twitter, I feel like I'm relatively young to own a firm, like a CPA firm, not own a business, but own a firm.
Sure.
And I get on there and I see Jason Stats, Logan Graff, I see you, I see all kinds of people. And
I'm the old one of that bunch.
Adam Markowitz. I see all these people, and I think I'm probably the youngest. I know Logan's young too, but I'm probably the youngest, and so I get to be the kid, right? And
you are pretty young, yeah.
And so when I look up to like all the content that Jason puts out on automation and stuff like that, and I feel like I have the luxury of benefiting from that. And I'm also, I talked about maturity earlier. Like I understand I don't have to make a ton of money now. Like I'm setting the foundation. And I have all these people to look up to, you know, again, the people I just named, and I get to see how they do it. And I just thoroughly enjoy looking at the way they do it. And so I can implement that now while we're still young, and then reach out to people when I'm running into issues. And these, so far I've reached out to everybody that I've listed there. I've reached out at some point, and they've all offered to help in some way, shape, or form. And that's so much fun to me. And I get to be the kid, right? I own a firm and I'm responsible for these people, but why not listen to all these people who are slightly older, who've been doing this longer, and who I trust to, like, you guys all look like you're having fun. You know, I'm not going back to the old firm I used to work at and like, how do you do it? Because I've seen how they do it and I don't like that. I don't agree with it. And so, I get to have fun. I love it. And
well, you get back what you give too.
Yeah.
So when everybody comes to you and asks you a question, you're never going to hesitate.
Yeah.
To give back.
Yeah. I love doing this right here, getting on the podcast and all this stuff. These are the things I want to be doing because I enjoy it. I love getting to, like you said, collaborate. And at the end of the day, I guess technically we're competitors, but I don't look at it that way. You know, I would happily refer you anybody that, you know, if they're not a good fit for our practice, I know 10 other good accountants just on Tax Twitter alone that would love to, you know, to speak with you, to service you. So, yeah, we're just having fun. You mentioned competitor. I don't even look at it from a competitor standpoint because in our industry with content creation and all, there's like no other accountants are in the space. It's like blue ocean out there. We have no competition. And that's not to say we shouldn't have. It's just nobody's doing it.
Well, again, it's your mindset too. Like I do see you as a competitor because you know you've been in sports, you game on financial, right?
Yeah.
You play Call of Duty and these games that's competition right there, right? Like you got to be a fierce competitor if you're gonna better yourself. You could be competing with yourself for all I know. Like, and that's important to have that sense of that drive to win. Because then you're going to be a better person for it in the end too. If you don't distort it and use it the wrong way, like competition, like used in the wrong context, if you see everybody else as competition, then you're alone,
right?
You know, then you're lonely and you don't have anybody to feed off of, you know, and you're sitting there trying to pull everything together for your own little, you know, corner of the world that nobody else can share, right? Like that's the wrong way of seeing it. I think you're looking at this from the right lens too. Because you should have the healthy sense of competition, of gaming everything and having fun with it too.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I will say, I think from the standpoint of competition, I just mentioned there's like nobody else out there, but I like to look at it as when I hop on a call with a prospect or whoever it is, I speak as if we have no competition. Like I am genuinely I try to have fun, right? And I'm asking the client what they need and all this stuff, but I talk from a sense of confidence of we are your best bet. We are your best fit. Not a like, oh man, you know, if I'm competing with Scott, you know, I mean, he's going to win the job because he's got a radio voice. I mean, if he hops on a call with the client hears that, I'm done. You know,
I don't know about that. Yeah.
I don't think I'm better than you, but I get on the call as if like, you know, I'm the client's only option. I am the best option. I truly believe it. I think we offer a good product. That's not to say yours is bad. And I don't, you know, half the time I don't even know if the client's even interviewing other accountants, but there is that level of competition.
And that shouldn't matter either.
Right, yeah, exactly. We give a product.
It's very important.
Yeah, we give we offer a solid service. We think we are, and then that almost forces us to live up to that challenge, right? Because if the client signs, we've got to have our stuff in order, right? We got to have our onboard. We got to be ready to go. And I have Joseph for that too. Joseph is a competitive by nature person, and so we feel the same way. Melanie is the same way, and I think that's part of culture, right? And so we have a lot of fun with that arrogance. I'm going to call it arrogance, with that confidence.
Confidence,
you know,
that's the right way. Yeah,
and we think of ourselves as the best fit for the client or for the prospect, because we're not like trying to get everybody. We're trying to advocate to content creators and stuff like that. And because we're niche down and we specialize in that, we genuinely feel like we are your best option. And I think that comes through to the client. We don't come out and tell them like, we're your best fit. You shouldn't even interview anybody else. No, we would never say that. That's arrogance to me. But there's also confidence. I think a lot of accountants struggle with sales. This is off topic. I'm sorry. I think a lot.
It's not. It's all on topic. When you're on this show, it doesn't matter. We could be talking about anything.
Spicy takes, man. It goes back to weakness. I think a lot of accountants are incredibly smart. You do such a good job. And then you get on a call, and I'm going to call it a sales call. You get on a sales call with a prospect and you fold like you've never talked to anybody before. And I don't understand that, especially if the client has sought you out. You are, in their eyes, the expert. And then you get on the call and you just you forget how to talk to somebody, you know? A lot of tax Twitter people, I don't think, struggle with that because they're on Twitter and they're doing all these things. I could name a number of them. I doubt you struggle with that, right? I mean, you get on a call, you could probably talk because you talk all day on podcasts and you're coming up with raps and everything.
You could put me in front of
anybody,
any person living, and I'll have a conversation with if I could speak their language. I'm not good with other language. My wife is from Mexico and I still don't speak Spanish.
And people who say they're an introvert, that's an excuse because ultimately, here's the thing. If you're in business and you are a leader at a firm and part of your job is bringing on new clients, I got bad news for you. Being an introvert, the clients don't care. Like you got to get over that because
introverts BS. I think that whole theory of if you're one or the other is bullshit. I think everybody is somewhat of an ambivert. That's a title of one of our episodes, but shout out to Greg Kite. And it's like,
shout out Greg.
You're both. Everybody's both, because the people that are most introverts are the loudest on Twitter and online.
Yep.
They are so loud because they're not talking so much in person. And then the people that are extroverts, they're too busy talking in person that they're not even online. People just let it out in different ways. And we all need that human contact and to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I look at it from a standpoint of like, nobody cares how I feel that day, you know, whether I want to talk to a prospect or not. My daughter depends on me. We got payroll depending on me. Melanie depends on me. It doesn't matter. Like, oh, you know, I'm introverted. I can't get on a sales call. Like, that's BS. Like it doesn't exist. Like, your job is to go out there and do this. Go do it. Like, and be good at it and try to enjoy it because it is fun. I get to talk to, like I said, people. That can be part of it. If you have to constantly talk to people you don't want to talk to, but then again, if you're a leader at a firm, why are you doing that? Why are you talking to people you don't want to talk to? I don't understand how you have all these options. You can do whatever you want. You advocate yourself as a leader, and then you talk to people you don't want to talk. I don't understand like complaining on tax Twitter like, oh God, these clients are terrible, this and that. And people will laugh because it's
a bit of a defeatist mindset to just complain about something than to do something about it. Complaining is like a pacifier, is like a way to soothe the mind rather than actually do the hard work to fix something.
I fired a client earlier this year, and it was like $5,000 or something like that. The total bill. There were a couple different things that made that up, like an individual return, a trust return, and a couple other things. And Melanie and I were having the conversation, and I told her, I was like, you know, I don't know if we can make it without the $5,000. I felt relatively positive, you know, we're going to make it. The $5,000 isn't going to be what breaks us, but we're having the conversation. I was like, I don't know if we can or can't, but I know what I'm not going to do. The client had called like 5 times a day. Hey, where's this at? Where's this at? I need this. I need this. The firm that we purchased, that it was a client at the firm we purchased. Previously, they had gotten the returns done in like September. The client wanted them done by like May. Okay. And so they were imposing that on us when they had never had to do that before. And I told the previous firm owner, I was like, she ended up talking to us the way that she would never talk to the previous firm owner the way she talked to us. And it cost her. Like, oh, I told her, you have to find somebody else to service you. And I just, like, that was my first experience, like truly firing a client. Like, I'm not dealing with this. And it was so freeing, man. I was like, man, I need to do this more often. I've got a whole list of people now.
It's liberating, isn't it?
I don't understand. I was like, yeah, I was kind of nervous when I did it because I did it in person. But then after that, I was like, I'm not doing and
it's liberating after, but it's so hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. I don't think I can say that I've done it successfully like you have yet. Like the way we get rid of our clients is we just raise the price high enough until they finally leave.
Keep doing that. Yeah.
We do it very passively. We do it very passively.
I think that's the way you need to do it. I agree with that 100%.
Well, no. The right way to do it is your way, because then you just cut it off, because even when you do that, most people, the worst of them, will keep paying because they know nobody else will deal with them.
That's true. That's true. I agree with that too. So, we run our practice through Notion. I mark clients, like a lot of the clients that we inherited that I never got to see.
I do my raps on Notion.
Yeah, there you go. See, you type it out.
I love Notion.
I'll blog on Notion. I'll do everything on Notion. I love Notion. Shout out Notion.
Shout out.
But excuse me, I'm literally like I'm a kid in a candy store spitting all over my mic. I'm so excited to be here.
It's all right. It's all right. We're both kids, man. This is why I'm bringing the accounting high, man. I still feel like a kid. Like and I think I always will.
Keep that, man.
Like that, bringing the fun back. Like it's so great. Like I know the title of this episode's already "We Have Fun," or "We're Having Fun." One of those.
Hell yeah.
And then featuring Garrett, Alexander the Garrett.
Alexander.
I'll probably put your real name on there just so people know. But I also have this like idea for a little mini series, Spicy Takes, with a hashtag.
Do it
with Alexander the Garrett. No, with you. You're going to come on with your spicy
Bro,
takes.
I got you.
And just have this like have these quick hits, right? Quick hits, like a Notion page with all your spicy takes, and then just give me the quick.
I'm going to go write them down as soon as we get off the call. I just when you look at it, and especially. Like, I felt burned because I felt like somebody was supposed to be protecting me, and I was having to listen to a lot of BS.
You felt burned from all those spicy takes?
Burned from the spicy takes, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And, like, now I run a firm, I'm like, this was what was so hard. Like, I've fired a client, right? And that was hard, but it wasn't that hard. I've had sales calls.
It's hard before. Before you did it, it's hard. And then after, it's like, I want to go do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because the same thing everybody says, double your prices, cut half your clients. You do half the work and you make the same amount of money. I fully believe it. I think now another way to do it is obviously just raise your prices, let the clients cut themselves. And I know that like nobody's going to go out there and just cut 50% of their clients right then. But man, how liberating is that? Like all of a sudden you get to go home and see your family, And the thing is, people are worried about people like their clients are going to leave if you double your prices or even just raise them marginally. No, they're not leaving. They need this done. And plus, if you've developed rapport and trust, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
Right. Our clients want to work with us. Most of our clients seek us out. We very rarely seek them out.
Nobody ever leaves because of price. Nobody leaves because of price. It's always another reason they're leaving.
It's always another reason. And most accountants, here's your spicy take, most accountants suck at communication. That's why they leave. Every single client that has come to us has said, well, my prior accountant just doesn't I don't ever hear from them. I take my stuff in, I drop it off, and then I'm surprised by a very large tax bill. And I'm like, well, I mean, that could be mitigated if, we try to set up monthly calls with our monthly recurring clients. And like we set the pace at the beginning. So right when they get onboarded, we set up the calls for the next quarter. And we just set them up then. And sometimes clients don't even want the call. They're like, hey, nothing really is going on. Can we skip this call? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. As long as like, hey, here's where we stand. And we still give them a deliverable, but we just don't have a call. And by doing that, now when it comes to tax time, and it should, in theory, this makes perfect sense. But when it comes to tax time, they've already been contacted at least, call it 6 times, probably closer to 12. And it's done. Like tax time is basically a non-event. And we charge really high for that because it takes a lot of our time to do these monthly calls and everything like that. But you know how appreciative they are? They're like, every time they get off the call,
Well, remember,
oh my God.
You're not charging because it takes a lot of your time.
No,
I got to catch you there.
Right.
You're charging because you're delivering a lot of value.
Right, exactly. And that's what we tell them is like because some clients, and oftentimes on our proposals, we'll include something like sales tax, payroll, whatever it is. And they're like, well, I don't have payroll. I'm like, well, you don't have it yet. Like you may be looking at an S-Corp situation, this and that. And the fact of the matter is you don't know. And sometimes we don't know until we get in there and we start operating and everything like that. And so we bill for it regardless. And it doesn't matter. Like the clients are like, okay, that's fine. Because all they care about is the communication. And yeah, I mean, we try to save them taxes.
Relationship, the communication and the relationship.
And they will pay large for the relationship. They do not care about sales tax, payroll, income tax returns, bookkeeping, all that stuff.
That has to get done.
That has to get
all
done.
That stuff, that's an afterthought. That's not why they're paying you because that has to get done, but that's not why they're paying
Exactly. And we've got our...
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And the thing is, a lot of accountants are like, oh my God, scope creep, this and that. If you get your system right, the scope creep is nowhere near what you think it is. Scope creep usually happens over, in my very limited experience, it happens over a longer period of time. And it can happen at the beginning, but if you just bill high from the beginning, there's not really scope creep because you've just included the fact that there are going to be things you don't know about. And whether let's say you build it like you knew all the details, that can change next year. And so what happens is as things come up, we just say, hey, we realize that this has become a lot more work for us. We're going to have to increase your price a little bit, but we're going to maintain the communication and all that. The clients are fine. They don't care. They don't care at all. We've done it. We've done it a number of times with content creators. We've done it with content creators who, if you looked at it and you looked at their financials, you'd be like, they can't afford to have a CPA do this. And they will not sacrifice that. We become like, they think that highly of us that they're like, I'm not getting rid of these guys because they brought me more ideas and saved me more money than like they've definitely paid their bill several times over. And so I think communicating value and just communicating in general, the actual work you have to do is, like I said, a non-event. I mean, that's easy. You can I'm going to say outsource it, but you can have a lower level of staff do that while you maintain the communication and everything like that. Because like I said, the content creators, I want to be the one talking to them just because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And we'll find out in due time if that's working or not because I'm young and our firm just started. So
you got the right mindset on all of it and you're figuring this shit out early. You went into this with cheat codes almost.
I had y'all.
You're already niched.
I had y'all.
Those are your cheat codes, right? Yeah. Those are your cheat codes. You're already, so I did want to pivot a little bit and you've already brought it up, is you went into this with a specific vertical, with a specific industry, niche, I dance around.
Whatever the word is, yeah. I do the same.
I say vertical, yeah. So you got an industry vertical. Like I almost feel like my firm is too far gone to really get focused on one and go all in on one. And I know that's bullshit me saying that because it's hard work and I'm just not willing to do the work to get to one. Let's just say that I got my other endeavors these days, but you went into it out the gate, with a lot of the right mindset, the right attitude, the right systems, and the right philosophies on running a firm. And there's a lot people can learn from that, even if they've been doing it for years. You're doing things, you're ahead of the game in a lot of ways too. And like I said, it's part of it's timing. You're very lucky and fortunate to be coming in at this time because a lot of the stuff that I consider common knowledge now, these things weren't that common. It was always questionable. Like, should I really do this or should I really give like the PTO thing that they're experimenting with? Like that should seem like a no fucking brainer right now. But even me, I was questioning, like, should I give everybody unlimited PTO? Like I was talking about this in 2016, 2017. Like we were really heavily discussing it. Should we let people work from home as much as they want? Should we, all of these things were questionable because I don't know if it's really proven. Like, and I didn't know, like my head wasn't out there. So you have a lot to offer. And again, like I said, wise beyond your years in a lot of ways.
I don't know about that. But
exactly. That's part of the reason you are, because you don't know everything too. The people that talk to me and like, even at a younger age and feel like they know everything, they don't know shit, even if they do know a lot, right? The fact that you are cognizant of that is something that I wish I had when I was that age, because you couldn't tell me nothing. I fucking knew everything, like, early days. like I was at the peak of Mount Stupid. Like where there's,
I feel like I've
there's something
visited
to be
there a
said
couple
about-
times.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been there.
And that, but you know how it is on that side too. Like I definitely know from the peak of Mount Stupid, from the Valley of Despair. Like right now, I'm on this little plateau of purpose or pleasantness. I've said this before, but it's like I use those analogies because it's easy for me to pull analogies in. Like you've got this whole mindset of I've got a lot to learn. I don't know if this is right, but I know that it's working now, or I know that this is the right way to, like, I don't know if this is right, but it's the right way to do it. And it may prove to be wrong. You got to keep those feedback loops open and continue to evolve, because that's a growth mindset too. So you got this fun growth mindset that's going to serve you well for years and years to come. But also it's like, keep grounded too. You seem very grounded.
I go back to it's not just tax Twitter and like some of the people that I truly trust because they put out quality content, like, for example, I could text, I feel comfortable enough to reach out to you if I had a true problem and say like, hey, Scott, what do you think? Like, what do you think about this? And that is a luxury. I will say, like, I recognize that that's a privilege to be able to do that. And I don't intend on abusing anybody's time, but there's that. And then we have like local connections from just the people we've met here in Savannah, Georgia, that have their own firm or whatever the case may be, and getting to talk to them. I have learned that it's really not that hard. It's just you have to. This sounds stupid. You just have to do the right thing. Like, just like, don't get in a hurry. Don't try and rush it. Just, what do you think somebody in that position would want to be able to do or to hear or something like that? It seems obvious, but. And that's kind of where, spicy takes come from. I just don't understand how other people miss it, because when you think about it, it's like, how would you want to be treated, right? Unlimited PTO, like nobody, if somebody looks to abuse that, then they shouldn't be a part of your firm. You should just like rip the Band-Aid off, get rid of them. Don't punish the people who are doing quality work. I mentioned Joseph, like he just took off because there was a hurricane coming. What am I going to do? Tell him he has to stay through a hurricane? Like, that sounds so ignorant. But I've seen that happen, right? In Savannah, Georgia, I worked at another firm where they were like, we're seeing how it plays out.
A lot of firms made people come in during COVID.
Yeah.
Made people come into the office.
And it's like, it doesn't matter how you feel about like the mask mandate and all that stuff. None of that matters as far as like running the firm and all that. It's like, okay, somebody says they're uncomfortable with this. You now have a decision. Like, are you going to force them to be comfortable with it? Or, because you're probably going to lose them. Like, they're going to remember that. I don't want to be told what to do. Very similar to probably how you feel. I don't want to be told like you have to do this when it's something like.
I don't want to be told that I have to wear a mask. We're in the South, so we didn't have to really wear a mask that much.
Right.
We had it pretty good.
And that was the thing. People just didn't want to be told to. Now you could get ignorant and say like, well, I'm not doing it because I'm not being told what to do.
Just because you told me.
Regardless of whether it makes sense or not.
But that's a whole other conversation there. I'm glad we're not talking about masks anymore.
Yeah. And so as a firm, like, we just sit down, because there's 4 of us, bro. We have 2 partners, 2 staff, and a couple contractors. We say, hey, does this make sense? Like, what is everybody doing? Like, I texted Druva earlier today saying, hey, like, are you okay? How, because I knew they stayed here local, and I was like, hey, are y'all okay? Everything good? All that stuff. I mean, nobody did that for me when I was at a bigger firm, because they couldn't. Hard to do that with 100-something employees.
Well, they're not as agile.
They're not.
Right? So, yeah, we got to be a little bit empathetic for their bloatedness and how
do we though?
Things are in that.
Do we have to empathize with the decisions that they made to bloat?
No, we really.
That's
don't.
That's what gets me, is like, no, y'all chose to do all this, and now we're like, why are we suffering, or at least not getting the basic human decency that you would think you would get, right? And so,
yeah,
that's my thing, is like, don't make any excuses for them. They made their decisions. Don't let them, convince you. Like, oh, that'd be really hard. It'd be hard on the firm if everybody just worked remote and stuff like that. I'm like, well, you should have thought of that. That's not my job to think of that for you, right?
You taught me something. I don't have to be. I'm trying to be a more empathetic person here. All right, this is like I'm really like, but I'm just taking the wrong angle on it with right there.
Are you
like? Usually, I'm just saying everybody's got something to add, and you gotta see their position. But.
Scott, I look at you though as a strong person. Like, I look at you as like, you're going to make a decision. And obviously, I trust your judgment and everything like that. So you're going to make a decision. based on your intuition and the way you see things. And so when you are empathetic, you are choosing empathy versus a lot of people, they're not being empathetic, they're weak. And they're empathetic because they have to be, right? Because their decisions have led them to this point. And so I don't ever want to be in that situation. Ooh. I will cut a client and say, screw the money, I don't care, because you can't talk to our staff that way, right? Come what may. And then we go in, and because we know we can get new clients. We will be fine. Because we know that, we can say that to a client and we can mean it. Versus like a lot of partners, they'd let people talk to me any way they wanted to because they couldn't cut them, because they needed the money, because their bonuses depended on it or whatever it was. And so I don't see that with you, right? You choose empathy. You're choosing empathy because you're strong enough to choose it. And so then it means that much more because you're choosing to be that way. You know, you chose to have me on the podcast. I chose to sit on the podcast. We both could have done a number of other things, but we chose to be here. I like you.
And we chose to get this video right too. It took us a little while to get the video working.
And I screwed that up. I'm sorry.
Post the video too. No, you're good. Don't apologize. Like, so that's another good point you brought up is I'm working on a rap.
I'm sorry, I rambled.
About saying no more. Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. I ramble a lot. That's why I'm doing these raps now, because I can capture people's attention and without them interrupting, right? Like that's my way of being able to talk without any kind of interruption. So saying no more is something that's very hard. And I think there's a weakness there sometimes to say yes. And there's a strength in saying no, and a power of, confidence and ability of yourself. Because I found in times in my life, when you say yes to too many things, you're overburdening yourself. I might as well just play this rap. It's not quite done yet.
Do it. But, let me hear it.
I could do what I want now on this platform.
Hey.
Let's see. It's not that long. It's only a minute.
Are we leaking a new one?
Yeah. It's new. Yeah, it hasn't been released yet. Yeah.
Why am I so busy? Why did I say maybe? Nah. Let's start a discussion. Let's have a discussion. Say no when you're uncertain. Saying yes leads to future burden. Next request, deploy a diversion. Discretion, avoid overexertion. No rest, monetize my time. Invest in asset conversion. Found zest, optimize my life. Less stressed with no aversion. Digest, acquiesce, and inversion. Protest, disapprove with assertion. Suppressed and remove it in person. Unclear, meek, prone to frustration. Fear of being alone and forsaken. Career in a unique situation. Up here weak with no aspiration. Severely insecure, wreaking mayhem. With clear techniques and phrases. Premiere a new sleek presentation, elevation through delegation, elimination of new temptations, elation with no obligations, exclamation without hesitation, say sure but only in moderation, secure a no with no explanation. Period.
It's like saying no to clients.
I rock with it.
Saying no. You
I
like
love it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that I think we all need a little bit more of, because we're always taught to accept things and say yes, and it's like that's the polite thing to do, but it's not. Like, we have to be a little bit more selfish with our yeses.
Imagine how embarrassing it would be. I mean, because you and I talk, person to person right now, right? And yeah, obviously I respect you and everything like that, but then you come to me and you're telling me about all these problems you have, and it all boils down to, like, you literally just won't say no. Like, what do you think I would say to you? Like, Scott, like, where you're at, like, you're just choosing not to fix it. You're just not saying no, right? And
just no pun intended.
No pun intended, right? No. And so that's just the way you have to look at things. Is like, I look at it like, what would Melanie say to me? Like, if a client said, like, here's what I want you to do all this work for $100. I'm like, no, it should seem obvious, but I tell them yes, because, like, I feel bad for the client. He broke his leg last week and he just really needs help with his books, and he can't afford us and this and that. I'm like, well, if he can't afford $100, he can't afford to be in business in general. So it seems so obvious, but it, like, stuff like that, man, it's almost embarrassing, right? When you're so overwhelmed and overburdened and everything like that. It's like, well, it pretty much means you just won't say no to people, right? But people get so offended when you do that.
Well, it's hard for us too. Like, I feel like part of the reason I say yes to a lot of things is I have a hard time saying no, because sometimes I'm just not, like, confident enough in my relationship with somebody that I can say no.
That's true. That's a good point.
Like, sometimes I want to please people. I want to, I feel like I have to give to get that acceptance back too. And so that's That's part of the fear. And I'm starting to realize that. Like, there's certain people in my life that I'll probably say yes to everything they do because I know that they respect me and I know that they respect my time. So I don't hesitate.
Right.
But then there's other people that I feel like I question their motives or I question their, so it's like finding that balance too. I always talk about balance because I don't have any. I don't think I ever will either. Like, I'm all in on something or not. But
I love that.
Like, do you have people like Macy? Do you ever say no to her? Or it's like, I mean, obviously you probably have a mutual respect that it's not like that, but there's probably certain people in your life that you probably wouldn't even say no to.
Yes and no. The one I think of is like probably my dad. And it's because the fact that he would never ask me for anything makes me feel like I would just give him the world. Like, whatever he asked for. He would never ask me for money. But if he did, I'd give him whatever amount he asked for, just because I know that he would never ask for it. And it's almost, I know that sounds silly because if he's never going to ask for it, well, yeah, that's an easy one. But that's just the relationship we have. And so if he asks me for anything, I got you, whatever.
All right. So if I ask you to get high, are you going to just say no?
See, that's a good one. I would not. If I say yes, it's because I want to, not because I feel like you're pressuring me or anything like that.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, it's the same with you. Like, you don't ever really ask me for anything. So if you said, "Hey, Garrett, I've got a favor," I'd be like, "All right, what is that? I'd hear you out," and I'd help you, right? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me to get high, I mean, we're talking about like frivolous stuff, then you know what I mean?
No,
like,
well, that's just fun. That's actually like, that was part of the joke too, because just say no. Like, I got another verse I'm working on, and it's going to be about the whole saying no to drugs and how that got a little bit distorted over time and things. And I can't nail that verse yet. I'm not quite there yet, but that's also like part of the, saying no, saying yes to certain things. Like, we have to have that compass. We have to have that compass and that drive of where we're going. Like, it seems, again, like I'll bring up this recurring theme here. Like, you've got your responsibilities beyond money. You've got people that you're looking out for. And there's a sense of drive. You know where you're going. You don't quite know the exact destination, but that can drive your yeses and nos along the way. That can make it easier, at least, for you to say no to certain things because you know it doesn't serve you. Like a client that comes to you that isn't in gaming, that, okay, maybe they're going to pay you enough, but here's a few other options for you. Here's another firm that you could work with because you're not a good fit for us. No. Right?
Easy. I mean, honestly, it's like, yeah, you would think the decisions would get harder, and it's not the decision that gets harder. The decisions are actually usually, in my opinion, pretty clear cut. I tell Melanie all the time, like, I like you, I like Joseph, I like all of y'all way more than I like any of our clients. I like y'all way more. Y'all mean way more to me. And that's why hiring is hard, is because, like, when we bring somebody on, I want to like them. I want to be able to like them, and they have to kind of prove that in the beginning.
You don't have the luxury of that anymore. Like, sometimes we just need to hire somebody and we have no options. That's actually not the case, actually. I take that back. Like, nowadays, we're a little bit more in control if we're not just trying to grow for the sake of growing. Yeah. We don't always have to hire just to fill that need.
Right.
We can slow that down and just raise our prices and get rid of some clients.
Exactly. And so the decision's easy. It's a lot of it, it's not always black and white. It's sometimes what you want to do, but the decision's usually easy. It's executing it. It's like, I know I should fire this client. I know I should. Right there. I know I should raise prices. I know I should do all these other things. But when you go to do it, there's one thing with putting all the prices and the listing the clients out, put the price that they pay you, and then raising it by X amount. That's easy. Easiest thing in the world. You look at it like, hey, this number's bigger than that one. We should do that. But then when you go to send that letter to the client saying, hey, your bill's going up, that's where people fail. And so it honestly becomes, are you about that life or not? Like, are you leading a firm or not? Are you going to make the decision, or are you going to do it? Or are you just going to talk about doing it? Are you going to go on Twitter and say, like, here's what you should do, but then never do it yourself? That's what scares me to death, is I don't want any employee or Melanie to look at me like, yeah, you talk about it, but you're not going to do it. You're not going to raise your price. You're never going to fire a client. That would be the ultimate failure, in my opinion, is like, yeah, you say you're going to do all these things and you talk about all this theory and logic, but you never do it.
Yeah. So let's do this.
Let's do it.
Talked about failures. Let's end this with, we've been talking a lot of rose-colored glasses on, all the good things that are happening with you. Tell me about one of the failures that you've had, or something that you've really struggled with that you learned from.
Oh, failure.
I want a good one, though. I want a spicy one.
My biggest failure was buying a firm. I never needed to do it. We did it because it seemed like a good option, and we failed to account for the people aspect of it, and most notably the clients, but also the partners that we were buying from. There were a lot of decisions that we looked at the firm, and we looked at it as unbiased. Here's what needs to happen. And the partners didn't look at it that way. They had real relationships with these people, some like dating back 30, 40 years. And so when we step in, we're thinking like, oh, it's obvious business decision, but that didn't matter. And we thought we'd be able to convert people to QuickBooks Online or Xero or whatever it was because they were using QuickBooks Desktop or an Excel spreadsheet, and they didn't want to do it, and they would not do it, and then raising prices was hard. And when I look back at that, it sounded so cool, like, oh, we bought a firm, and I'm 27, and we're buying a firm, and wow, king of the world. It not the case at all, honestly, and that taught us more. We are still paying for that. I mean, the buyout is still very much happening. We're paying for that. We're paying for a building. And we may not have gotten
sunk cost.
I mean,
define it. Yeah.
And we're talking like, I mean, those are very real numbers, right? Like very real numbers. And I had a new house. I had a new daughter. Macy and I have only been married 4 or 5 years. So it just that strain and all that came from buying a firm when I had gone out on my own and just trusted myself to just bring on clients. I had no way of knowing I could. This taught me that I could, so this was a very necessary experience. But in my opinion, it will be our biggest failure was buying a firm because we like the idea of buying a firm. And now we're, like I said, paying for it. We have a lot of overhead, a lot of bloat there. And that goes back to looking at like all these other big firms buying these smaller firms up and doing the same thing is like a lot of our bloat. We would be so much better off if we didn't have the clients that we purchased, which is crazy to think about.
Well, it's you sometimes can't learn anything until you it up.
What was it? The peak of Idiot Mountain or whatever you said?
Peak of Mount Stupid.
That standing up there, looking down at all the peasants like, oh, wait till y'all get up here. Man, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Well, the typical path, at least for me in most cases in my life, and it's very cyclical or very there's a pattern to it. Like I get to the peak and I think I know everything early on, whatever it is. I know enough that I feel like I know everything and I'm a idiot. And then all of a sudden I start learning more, and then I get into this like despair. Like I don't know anything. Everybody knows more than me. I don't even like, and then all of a sudden I learn more, and then I get enough confidence to realize I don't know anything, but I know everything. Like I know enough, but I don't know everything. And like I need, so there's in a lot of different aspects too. Like I feel like in this rap thing, I'm just about at the peak of Mount Stupid. I know nothing, but I feel like I'm confident enough because I'm getting the right reactions from it that like at least it's driving me to keep going. I haven't hit the valley of despair yet, but I'm getting there.
Joseph says it all the time to us. I mean, just nothing beats time in. And when even if you're making mistakes, like you mentioned the rap game and everything like that, like if you just keep doing it and keep producing content and stuff like that, over time you get the feedback, you put the feedback, you
iterate,
implement it and everything like that. And then all of a sudden 5 years you're looking back and like, oh man, that's crazy. That's what excites me is going forward. Like I'm already making all the mistakes now. Let's get them all out, right? While we don't count on having a ton of money, we don't count on, being rich, and we don't have all this bloat around us, like as far as our lifestyle.
You just count your blessings.
Let's just get these mistakes out of the way now. And we are thankful. I understand that sounds very privileged, but at the same time, that anybody could apply that, right? Especially if you're young, get your mistakes out now. We tell Druva that when we're reviewing work papers. It's like, go ahead and get it done now. If you're going to screw something up, do it now, and let's get it over with so we can have the conversation, because we're all trying to grow. We're all trying to get better. And the longer you just like don't do it, like if you just didn't start rap because you were scared to death of what people were going to think about it, you're just delaying it because you're going to make the mistakes. It doesn't, you're not perfect. It's going to happen. Just go ahead and get started doing it. Just do what you want to do, and then let those mistakes happen, take it in stride, and keep moving. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's wise, sage advice from the greatness, the Alexander the Great, Garrett the Alexander, however we're going to say it. I appreciate you coming on and your openness with everything. We usually do hard numbers too, and you said we'll get some real numbers. So let's throw some numbers out here at the end, like for the person that's listening all the way through. So we go. Here's the numbers we usually do. We do top line, we do take home, we do time off, and head count. But you've already told us that.
Yeah.
So and this way, when you come back on, we can see the progression of that. So
okay, so yeah, I'll give you whatever you want. I will say for take home, I don't know.
We know you're reinvesting back.
Yeah, if you're talking about net income,
yeah.
I don't really know what our net income even is right now, and we could talk about like what my salary and all is, but that honestly
sure.
It doesn't matter. But top line,
we usually do owners. We usually combine the owners and do an owners take home if people are willing. That's the last one people want to reveal. Everybody's worried about either they're not making enough or they're worried about their team knowing how much they make.
Yeah. So take home this year it's probably going to shake out to close to, I don't know, like 60 or 70. Macy and I lived off savings in the beginning because it just happened 1-1. So we lived off savings, but then we started taking, like Melanie and I put ourselves on salary, and then we started taking a few distributions here or there. I don't know what Melanie's is. It's probably very similar to mine, but probably like close to 60 or 70. And then top line, I'm sorry, I should have started there. Top line, we're probably going to hit close to probably like 400, 450,000.
Is that OA and Game On
That's
combined?
both, yeah. Because Game On started Game On started at 0. So
you guys are still babies.
Yeah, we're tiny, and so we've got that.
My rap name's Lil Toddler. So
that's your rap name?
I'm a toddler.
That's our firm name, Lil Toddler. Like we're a little baby firm.
Yeah.
So
little baby, yeah.
We bought, and I'll say this too. We purchased about 300 is what it's going to shake out to. When we first purchased it, we thought we were getting 400. So clients left out the gate, never even told us. We're probably going to end up with close to 300. And then if we finish, I think we'll finish closer to 450. So we brought in about $150,000 worth of work. Give or take. I mean, those aren't exact, but that's pretty accurate. That's close to what it'll be. Take home, like I said, 70 approximately for me. Yeah. And then head count, 4. There's me and Melanie partners. We have a manager level, Joseph. He's incredible. And then we have Druva, who she's not even graduated with her master's yet. She's been working part-time all year for us. Started as an intern. This will be her first, I'm going to call it a full year, but she's part-time. She'll go full-time in January.
So I'll give you my quick takes on that.
Give them to me.
You keep it 100, you keep it real, and those numbers back it up. You've got the right mindset on this, that you're not in this just to make some money early on. You're putting people in the right positions to succeed, and you're putting your money where your mouth is because those numbers back up everything you've said up until this point too. This is not like a me thing, because you probably could get by with working a lot more. You'd be more stressed. You'd be making more money, but you wouldn't be appreciating it and you wouldn't be valuing it. And those are these are things I wish I learned early on. Like I'm there now, I'm on the other side of it. But if I could have, and this is why I do this show, like for anybody that's sitting there like thinking that they don't have any control over their business and it's out of their hands, but they're making a lot of money. Think about that. Think about what you're complaining about. Think about the things that you're out there complaining about and what can you do about it? There's a lot of things you could do about it. I mean, there's not just one thing. There's no silver bullet here in what you're doing. You're doing a lot of different things, and you're coming at it from different angles. You're coming at it from a point of growth and a point of curiosity, not a point of I know this and now that's it. Like once you learn something, that's done. And so, that point of that curiosity, there's a lot of C words that have come up in this competition, collaboration, confidence, communication, culture, clients, and curiosity now.
I need them. I need all of them in a rap.
You might get them.
You've got some alliteration in those words too. Those are good words. That's a good base for you to start a rap with too. I mean, that
was off the dome.
Off the
too.
dome.
That was,
I set you up. That was a lob right there.
I did a freestyle the other night. I wrote like 2 full pages freestyle, like from my head. I don't have the confidence to do that in person yet, but I could write it down on paper, and I'm trying to tweak it a little bit.
Do it, man. And, keep doing it. I love the content, and I'm so thankful to be here. I was glad, when you and I kind of talked about it and everything like that. I've been waiting to get on. I wish I could have come in person. I would love to do that. Seriously.
We'll do it. We'll do it sometime. We'll do some spicy takes. I'm going to be in Georgia. I'm going to be in South Carolina. Well, I'm on the other side of South Carolina this next month or this month. But yeah, I mean, we'll have more time. We got plenty of time. We got years ahead of you here. You got a lot. You got a lot going on. You got a lot of good takes right now, and I appreciate you coming on. I think, like I said, like I liked your style on there. I liked how you put the visor on and you put the pocket protector on the picture, and I was like, cool dude. I
almost wore the fit just for this podcast because I knew like you wouldn't care, bro. I almost came out in the full thing. I mean, I was ready.
With the glasses, you don't even wear glasses, do you?
I don't. I almost did. The lenses are like just little see-through lenses, but
I could tell.
I almost put the whole fit on. I was about to do it. I told Joseph, I was like, when I do YouTube content, I don't know if I should wear the fit or not. And the more I do this, the more I want to because I don't care, man. I'm just having fun. That's the thing. Like we're just having fun. I just love.
Exactly.
I love being here. I love being in the space. So
we're having fun. We're either we have fun, we're having fun, or we're just having fun. One of those is going to be the title of this. I've already figured that out.
That's it, man. Easy. You got it.
Spicy takes is going to be like the stat snacks that we do.
That's the YouTube shorts, bro. We need the YouTube shorts. I need we can have like little one-offs.
I haven't got to YouTube yet. My first rap music video is coming out soon.
What?
It's already been filmed. I got to perform a rap on a boat in Toronto.
What?
In front of a bunch of accountants. Yeah, this just happened. Like,
wait, I think I saw a picture. I think I saw you had the mic.
You might.
Yeah, on Twitter, I saw a picture of it. Yeah, that's dope.
I leaked the picture, but I haven't. The footage just came back. I haven't seen it yet, so we'll see.
Oh, bro, that's about.
I don't even know. So the reason I said that is because I wasn't ready to do a YouTube channel until I had a music video. I felt like that's today's MTV now, right? Like that's the MTV. I don't want to start with, and when I say MTV, I say it EM, like Eminem, MTV. Right?
I need the Scott Scarano YouTube channel. Like, gotta have it.
Yeah. Well, Scarano. If you're gonna say it right, like soprano.
I'm sorry, Scarano.
I usually do. I only correct people once though. No, you're
Scarano.
Good. It's a lot of people say Scarano. That's it's. You can just call me Little Toddler.
Little Toddler. I'm sorry.
LT. My friends now call me LT. Little Toddler was a joke. That was just a big joke. I've got a few rap names I've been working on. Not sure which one I'm going to quite land on yet permanently, but this is still early days.
Can we get
I'm still green.
At Little Toddler on Twitter?
We could, but somebody else already has it. And like, I don't know. This guy seems pretty dorky too. Not dorky, but actually like I wouldn't even want to hang out with him. So I don't know about that.
You got to get that name.
I got another one. OKR. Okay Rapper.
Okay Rapper. There you go. OKR, see?
Yeah. OKRs, objectives and key results.
I like it. Hey, you don't have to convince me. I know you could go 100 different ways with this thing. I love it.
I don't know where I'm going with it. I'm having fun. That's it.
All that matters.
I'm having fun with it. That's all that matters. Yeah. I had so much fun doing it. Like that was my goal for the year, is to just perform the rap before the end of the year. And I thought our listeners probably tired of hearing this, but honestly, if they're listening at this point, they want to see it too, at some point. So
I can't wait to see it.
It'll be released. Yeah, it'll be released. It'll be cool. Yeah. So, and I'm going to probably have to put this on the YouTube because by the time this episode comes out, we'll probably have a YouTube channel. So we worked on getting this video. We might as well just put that on.
Put it on there, bro. Put me up there. I'm ready to go, bro. We can do this. We could do this again next week.
I might need your help on the YouTube thing. I haven't done the YouTube thing like you guys have. You've been on it for a little while. You got your gaming on there, right?
Yeah, I got you, bro. You say the word, man. I got you. We work with content creators. We got to know this stuff, bro.
I know. This is great. So I'll fly you up here. I'll drive you up here. Get you high, and you can teach me how to get my set up. All right. I saw you set yours up. You just posted like the time lapse video of like setting up your whole setup, and I saw like you got like a green screen. Like I feel like I don't even need a green screen because I've been working so hard on this bookshelf that
we've got more than we need, bro. That's the thing. Is like it's not about the setup or anything like that. It's just doing it. Like I could shoot in 100 different angles in my office right now. And the bad part is I haven't shot in any of them. That's the thing. I just got to sit down and do it. It's execution. The decision's easy, but it's the execution. I haven't done it right. So I don't know. I'm lacking, man. Oh, I think I lost you. Oh no. Am I in control now? Oh my gosh, if you get a recording of just me, it's over with, bro. Shout out Twitter. His power went out. Hey, don't cut this out neither. I want this on, when you post this, I want this on there now. Shout out. Hey, you can find me at Your Local Tax Guy on Twitter. Definitely doing the self-promo right now because Scott's not here. But also, seriously though, go check out Scott's podcast. This guy's awesome. I love being here. I'm only saying this now because he's not on. I know he's going to go back and watch this, but shout out Scott. Shout out Lil Toddler. This is awkward. Do I just stand here and like stare at everybody, or what do I do? I just look at the camera and like, hey.
2 hours later.
Game time.
Game time.
I was giving you free content while you were away.
We're good. It's like you dropped Mike. You were right at a good part too, and it was almost comedic the way it cut out. Like you said something, you hit the exclamation point. You hit the exclamation point, and then all of a sudden my room goes dark. It was like the power of the voice, the power of Garrett came into my house.
That ain't me, bro.
Is this Hurricane Garrett?
No.
Hurricane Alexander? That's early in the season.
That's what these clients got was Hurricane Alexander. I just came in and cut all of them, bro, and just chop them down.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I lost anything. We might be stuck with a poor sounding recording if I didn't have my other one. That's terrible because you got a good mic. So hopefully we got this. Let's wrap it up. Let's tell everybody what your handle is, how they can find you on YouTube, how they can learn more, how they can get your ear if they want to hear more.
All right. My name's Garrett, at Your Local Tax Guy on Twitter, at Game On Financial on YouTube, and you can obviously just slide in them DMs if you want to talk about anything. I'm out there. Come find me.
Dope on a rope.
Hit up Scott.
Thanks, Garrett.
Scott can tell you. Hit up Lil Toddler. Lil Toddler can tell you where I'm at. He knows where to find me.
Yeah. Dope. Yeah. All right. So thanks for coming on. This is a great episode, and we'll see you on the next Spicy Take.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother.
Stay tuned.